Hi, I'm Catherine Lee. There are so many amazing women in the Kansas City community, and I wanted to be able to start showcasing them for you all. My first guest is the founder and inventor of Kartwheel, Kristen Rock Chouinard. Talk to me, how did you come up with Kartwheel? What was the motivation behind it? Is there a story? Just tell me a little bit about your thought process on creating this.
Okay. Absolutely. There was sort of a light bulb moment / occurrence. So I have two boys, Freddie and Calvin. Calvin is 5, Freddie is 3. And when Freddie was 2 weeks old, we were venturing out on our inaugural Target run. And so that looks like I had a baby 2 weeks ago. I had a C-section 2 weeks ago. I'm taking this little human that is probably one of my best friends, but I don't know him very well yet, out into the world for the first time. My breasts undoubtedly will start leaking through my shirt. I have all these things going on, mentally from the change and from the trauma of having a baby. And out we go to Target. So we made it successfully through the store. And I had Freddie in the shopping cart in his carrier, and we're in the parking lot, and I'm unloading the groceries into my trunk, and I turn around, and the shopping cart is halfway across the parking lot. And
Freddie's in the cart?
Freddie's in the cart. And so I freak out, obviously. I run after the cart before he gets hit by a car or runs into a car, and grab it and bring him back to the car. And once we were safely unloaded, I just remember getting in the front seat and being like, I had no idea that was even a potential danger or a potential thing that could have happened. And mind you, this was my second baby. They're 15 months apart. So I had already had my, crash course in what to have a head on a swivel for with my first son. So it had never happened before. And I just started Googling products that would prevent that from happening, shopping cart brakes, anything out there that would keep your cart right where it should be in the parking lot, and there was nothing. So that was 3 years ago. That planted a seed in my mind. I ran home, told my husband, he was like, you need to chill, given new baby, all the things. But the problem just kept happening. Nothing as dramatic and severe as that day, but we would be at Costco with both of the boys, and unloading the Gatorades and the diapers from under the cart, and you're fighting with the cart. You're like, why am I fighting with a cart and also dealing with everything else going on in my life? So it's just it could be better in so many different instances. So I finally decided to hit go on the project, March of 2024, and we launched in August of 2024.
Okay, so here you created this amazing, you crafted this idea in your mind. How did you get from start to finish, and what were some of the issues you had along the way?
I knew there was a problem. I was super annoyed at the problem at any occurrence, which was basically any given weekend, whether it was me at the store alone with both boys, me at Costco alone, fighting with the cart, with the Gatorades. So I knew there was a problem, but for me, I didn't know what it looked like to solve it. And so that happened. And I've told this a little bit before, but we were on vacation, a family vacation in Mexico at one of the large resorts that has 20 buildings, and it's just this span of resort land, and they have these drainage systems that run through the resorts. And for those in the Midwest that'll know what this is, it looks like a cattle guard. For those that don't, it looks like a flat speed bump with drainage, chutes that things can get stuck in. And we were taking the boys around this resort in these umbrella strollers. And the wheels for these umbrella strollers were this big. And every time we would go over one of these drainage systems, the wheels would get perfectly stuck right in them. And this is when, if anyone's ever come up with an idea and are just holding it close to them and have told maybe a couple people, but it seems like you have this crazy idea just like brewing in your mind. Some people don't care. Some people think it's cool, but no one really takes you seriously at this point, which is totally fine. And I understand why not. But so that is where the umbrella stroller wheels kept getting stuck in these drainage systems. And that is where this took shape in my mind. I was like, the wheel has to be subsurface, or at least like act in that way for it to stay in place. So once I had this part of it, it was just reverse engineering, like how you would safely get that up and onto the wheel. And then obviously you would want a handle. You know, we talk a lot about the new parents being the primary demo for the product, but it's also aging population. It's also the uniquely abled. My son Calvin has Down syndrome, so when he goes to the store and is doing things on his own one day, he's probably going to need a little help in the parking lot. So the handle height and the handle itself was designed for most people with varying degrees of ability to be able to use this and be helped by this product.
Well, and it's got a rubbery feel, so you can toss it, you can throw it in the trunk, you don't have to worry about it cracking or breaking.
Right.
How did you think to go with this type of material as opposed to like a plastic or something a little bit harder?
Sure. So the kind of two parts to the story. One, a bit of a happy accident. On my journey to find a manufacturing partner, there's a local company in Kansas City called Hanna Rubber Company that I stumbled upon, and they were very excited to partner. A second thing is I wanted it to be able to drop on the ground and stay exactly where you put it. And with the plastic, because the prototypes were 3D printed with the plastic, you would drop it and it would bounce. And also, we love Kansas City, and it's 110 degree summer days, which makes your car on the inside 130 degrees. So those plastic prototypes were also melting in the car. So for all the reasons, easy to clean, lands and stays where you put it, rubber seemed to be the best material to use. And this is like a very strong rubber. There's a whole scale of rubber strengths that I got to learn about, and so this is one of the strongest ones out there.
Amazing. What are you hoping to accomplish with Kartwheel? I mean, it's such a cool product. I know you're making its presence known in Kansas City, but do you have like long-term goals for the product?
Short answer, yes. I think that for me, my motherhood journey has been one where I think you get prepared for certain seasons in your life, and you're like, okay, everyone told me college would be hard and you need to study, but mostly, go to class and show up and get it done. Any other season that you could potentially prepare for that might be harder than people say, might be easier than people say, it's all relative. Yeah. Motherhood for me and a lot of my friends and a lot of the Kartwheel community that this product resonates with, motherhood has been the hardest thing that we've ever done. And the only thing that could possibly prepare you for it is just going through it and doing it. But that doesn't make it any easier. Yeah. And so for me, the early advice of just nap when they nap, make sure you're taking care of yourself. You're like, where's the time? All of the advice and not to be rude, but lip service wasn't cutting it. We need tools. And so Kartwheel serves as not only a tool and a product, but almost as a symbol of, another ramp, but motherhood, parenthood is oftentimes invisible, oftentimes unappreciated because who you're serving is a child that probably can't even speak yet. If you're doing it alone, then your partner's not seeing it. If you're a solo parent, then no one is seeing it. So for me, and it gives me chills, but I want this to serve as a symbol that you're not alone, that your community and whoever you rely on as your village, like they are with you even in the chaotic grocery store parking lot when your kid is tantruming over fruit snacks, even though you just bought him the $8 bus. He wanted the fruit snacks, and so now you're going through a whole tantrum. Like, popping this out and throwing it on the ground and having one less thing to worry about by means of at least your cart isn't rolling away in the midst of all this chaos, like, is what I'm super passionate about. Because I think at the end of the day, I feel for my friends going through the journey, but I also think it's like we have a lot of stress and anxiety out there right now, just as human beings in general doing life. So if Kartwheel can provide you with one less thing to worry about or a little peace of mind, then we've done our job, and I feel really good about that.
You obviously, I'm a huge advocate of supporting Kartwheel and supporting you, and like being along your journey of entrepreneurship has been like incredible.
Thank you.
But it's also the thing that we've talked about with this series is just like trying to like showcase like badass women who are doing really badass things. Okay. Obviously, you talked a little bit about people believing you, people not believing you, you know, some people showing some form of interest, but like as an entrepreneur, what do you feel like is the biggest takeaway you've gotten from creating Kartwheel and getting it to like finish phase?
I think I am still amazed by how willing my community and my community's community have been to help and support in any way they can. There is a very strong, connected group of female business owners in Kansas City. So to do our kind of social media launch, there were 10 brands, maybe 8 to 10 brands that stood up behind Kartwheel and said, we'll donate to the giveaway. And that's, you know, we're 430 followers strong at this point, but that felt like the jackpot that day that we did that giveaway. And, you know, I was on a run and my phone was like ding, ding, dinging. And that was really cool because, you know, everyone is busy and everyone has their own interests and everything. So to feel supported and carried by those business owners has been huge. My friends and supporters, you have been one of them that have, you know, this went back to a sketch on a notebook and coffees and crazy lunches. And I was like, am I nuts? Like, and people like you and people, you know, some of my best friends, like those are moments that as an entrepreneur with this seemingly, I keep using the word crazy, but different, whatever you want to say, idea, budding, those moments are moments they'll never forget. And they're truly moments that kept me going and kept me pursuing this. So if anything, I think the most remarkable thing about this journey to date is how many people are willing to help if you ask, and how lucky I am to be surrounded by such amazing friends and supporters.
How do you envision the product to meet like ever-changing and future demands?
I already know that we need to iterate for a more commercial, industrial weight. A friend of mine took it to Home Depot and he was doing a family project that had like plywood and things that I don't fully understand from Home Depot. And I've been to, you know, a local lawn and garden store where the wheels are bigger. So I definitely think there is like a big sister to Kartwheel that is like probably going to need to be much stronger and more durable and fit a bigger wheel. I think also, you know, I think it makes sense right now for this to be a direct-to-consumer product just because that's the quickest entry point to the market. But I've also identified, you know, cart manufacturing partners, just retail safety partners in general, that there's no reason that this can't be on a cable and connected to every cart. So anybody with any life scenario can use this if they want to. So I think the product as it is right now fits the initial need, but I certainly feel like as people use it and as people take it to different stores on different, like for different scopes of project, like there could definitely be one that is stronger and bigger. And I think just the delivery could be different. Like I don't see why a store wouldn't want to provide them for their customers because, for me as a mom, and this is very Midwest, but it's like, what's the parking lot like? How chaotic is the situation? What's the best time of day to go to that store? And is that in my routine? I'm very routine, but so are a lot of moms because it depends on that. So I think it's kind of a differentiator to have something that makes shopping that much more easy, in my opinion. So,
what about reach? Obviously, you're here in the Kansas City market. Have you expanded elsewhere? And if so, or if you're wanting to, what would do you have target markets in mind that you're hoping to hit next?
So I just sent a small shipment to New York because I was on a trip there and I was getting Kartwheel content and all these things, but New York is a city that's on wheels. Shout out to the U.S. Postal Service. Their mail carriers go around New York City with these carts and they drag their bags on these carts and they don't have wheel locks on these carts for these mail carriers. And I think that's a shame. The hotel I stayed at had just thrown like a big wedding the night before and they had this very tall, it's on our social, but a very tall multi-rack cart. And I was carrying Kartwheel and I was like, hey, can I put this under your cart and see if it'll hold it? And he was like, I did it. He allowed me to. I put it on there and he was like, where were you yesterday? I literally had like 70 flower vases on this cart yesterday and someone had to stand out here for an hour and hold this cart because we weren't ready for the vases yet and they couldn't get it inside. Mm. So I think it's those, no, New York City doesn't have your traditional parking lots and shopping cart dangers, but I think for convenience of New York City street vendors they can't afford maybe the cart with the industrial lock. Like that was a lot of the content I got there too. Street vendors, the Postal Service, any delivery person that hasn't invested in wheels with a lock, like could benefit from this for sure. So,
well, and when we're talking about the demographic of who could use this product, right? Obviously, you designed it with moms in mind, and I know we've talked about this a bunch, but like it really could be for anyone. Like it doesn't have to be just for the mom or the professional who needs it for their whatever wheel-based tool they're using, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the great thing about it. I mean, I've used it in the grocery store parking lot. Otherwise, my usual would be holding the cart with the bottom of my foot and trying to unload bags and into the car. So the cart's not rolling into my car, which is what happened 90% of the time before I started using this.
Right.
So I think it's a multi-purpose, multi-user product, right? It's not like it's just one demographic that's going to need it. And I think that's the great thing about it.
Yeah. I think too, it'll be interesting to see like, once something is in your trunk, I've had neighbors with sloped driveways use it for their kids' scooters or for like the little Tykes car if they want it to not roll down the hill. Mm-hmm. So I think while that isn't the preferred use, like that is, we have friends and I know your clients' children have used it for Hot Wheels car ramps and that has provided them with hours of entertainment, which is hilarious. So,
it's a good backup car trick if you need like a toy in the car.
Yeah. But no, I think, as one of our most vocal and sweetest clients early on was an 80-year-old woman named Lois that saw us on TV and bought it and is super happy with it. So I think it's like the more that it gets out there. And I've also had a lot of people that didn't know about it, heard of the product, went to the store, and then bought one after their chaotic shopping trip. So I think it's also you are used to dealing with this problem. So you just kind of deal with it. And like anything, if there's no better way, then that's the way. But knowing that there's a tool out there that enhances that experience. And we're priced to where it's like, you know, the average American goes to the store 2 to 3 times a week. Like, so for your 2 time a week shopper, there's, you know, that. Is it worth, you know, 52 times 3? I should know that math, but I won't know it. Let's say it's 150-ish. 156?
Close.
Okay.
Sure. We'll
156 times.
We'll go with that.
And also, it's, you know, a stat that I don't think a lot of people realize is that 66 kids a day in the U.S., so 1.5 kids per state, go to the hospital due to a shopping cart related injury. So, yeah, and my PR friend would be very proud of me because I'm trying to get better at, you know, using the stats, but it's things that people don't realize. My sister is a doc and found that there's actually a code, like a World Health Organization code for shopping cart injuries, which means it's happening enough. It's a perpetual problem that they created a code for doctors to be able to use when they come in to get treated. So, you know, I think it's just been kind of this known issue. The grocery stores don't want to take liability for the shopping carts, which is understandable. So, but that doesn't mean we can't bridge the gap and have a safer, more efficient experience. And I feel like Kartwheel does that.
If you could partner with a major retailer, who would it be and why? Obviously, you've mentioned a few today, but I'm just curious, who would be your dream retailer to partner with?
Because I love a good story and for the storyline and all, I would love for it to start and end at Target.
Yeah.
I think that would be a beautiful thing. I can also see it getting swept up by a baby brand and rolling into a popular stroller brand or a popular safety brand that's already established itself, because I believe in this so much that I don't necessarily care about who it is. I more so care about the speed of it all. A lot of, like, it makes me so happy when a Kartwheel is bought for a baby shower because I wish I would have had this. I think it would have saved me so much unnecessary worry, anxiety, getting to that breaking point. And so for those new moms to be, without getting on a tangent, I want them to have the tools, that as many tools as they can have, so they have a better experience. And I think that's kind of what life is about, right? Is passing it back. So
if you could give advice to other entrepreneurs, what would it be?
I think it would be easy to say start, so I'm not going to say that. I think it's always like, I had this idea and I like, how cool would that be if, and you have these like introductory conversations with, like, depending on your level of passion, like your neighbors, your coworkers, your extended family at the holidays, whatever. And I think you need to do that and you need to fill it out. And then I think you need to get to a point where it would crush you if you saw whatever your idea is out in the world and you thought of it first. And if you get to that point where you believe in it so deeply, because then you're actually envisioning it out in the world and you believe in that product enough to fight for it. And you know, I mean, that could be a whole episode in itself, is like all the different fights along the way with all your different stakeholders to say, no, I really think this is something here and something that I'm going to pursue. So I guess 2-part answer. If you saw it out in the world and it would crush you, you believe in it enough to put your name on it and take a risk, 1. Number 2, I think you need to believe in it so fully that you're willing to go up against the most important people in your life and say, I believe in this and here's why. Because I think, you know, your closest friends and family are going to be your strongest cheerleaders, but they also care about you the most. So they're not going to want to see you get broken or your feelings get hurt or people talk about you behind your back because you're talking about a crazy shopping cart idea and like, what is she doing, you know? And, but that's what it's going to take to be able to pull something like this off. And all I can say is I know that because that was my experience. So, I think it's those two things. And I think it's, I think a lot of people say this, but I did a lot of work on myself and to get confident enough to be able to say, if this looks crazy to you, that's fine. Cause like, I know I'm who I am and I think it's good enough for me. And that makes me proud. And, you know, that took 3 years. Like that Freddie incident happened 3 years ago. And I'm not the person I was when it happened to me. And I'm glad that it took me 3 years to do it because I don't think I was strong enough to do it then.
What do you feel like you've learned about yourself in this process?
One thing I've learned is that, you know, I think 30 to 35 is hard. Like that age is hard. You're supposed to have most of it figured out. You're supposed to, you know, society will say you're supposed to be on this one path. And a lot of people will ask, and I know we talked about it a little bit, but it's like, what are you trying to do with Kartwheel? Like, are you trying to sell it? Are you trying to like to the moon, right? With all of the possibilities. And one thing that I maybe had to relearn about myself in this process, but that I'm most proud of is that our initial 450 customers, like it's truly making a difference in their life. Like they are going to Costco, you know, I'll get Instagram DMs. Like I'm so thankful for Kartwheel. Now I can go to Costco with my 2 girls and not worry about it. Or, you know, literally this past weekend, I had an instant onset of pink eye in both eyes. This is like true motherhood and transparent as hell, but here we are. Pink eye in both eyes. My husband was traveling, had Sunday travel, so he left for a work trip. And we still needed groceries for the week, and the errands don't stop just because you're sick. Like, and that is true adulting, right? That's not even motherhood, that's adulting. Like if you are sick and you are booked and busy, like your day doesn't stop. And because I knew I had Kartwheel in my cart and I had both boys, I saw the car cart that they love that's like designed like a little car. And I was like, you can do this and have fun at the store. I went and got the car cart. I parked it on Kartwheel, got them both in safely and like without a big chaotic situation because they're 5 and 3. Rolled them around the store. We had enough fun. We got back, put the car cart on Kartwheel, got them both back in the car safely. And it was like a lovely little time, aside from my pink eye and shit show of a life, right? But it's like, and like sometimes that is all the difference in your day. And so to have that response from users and to use it myself and be like, no, dude, this is like alleviating stress in your life. I'm really proud of that. And so I guess I've learned that I don't necessarily care how far to the moon we go or where we go from here. I feel like I've done at least the first part of my job just as it is.
Thanks for like sitting down to chat.
Thank you for having me.
Answering all the questions.
Yeah, this has been lovely.
I'm super excited.
I want to flip it on you and like, you know, interview you because you're the best.